morning, YouTube. Skipper T here. I got a new piece of kit that I wanted to share with you guys. It is an alcohol stove. It is in the shape and function of a Tangia, I believe they're called. But this one's made by a company called Alocs, A-L-O-C-S. I picked this one up just specifically because of the simmering aspect of it, and or the dampener, which is this little part here. It actually has a little handle on it so that you can slide it around versus just a tab that the Tangia comes with. I think it's Asbit or somebody makes one that's similar to this that has this little handle on it. But when I was looking at this online and decided to order it, it came with a nice little stuff sack to put it in, and it came with a nice little stand that you could put it on. And I thought, well, shoot, I'll just get the most bang for my buck. Maybe not the best choice. The reason I say that is this is my Pathfinder's 27-ounce cup, 25-ounce cup, and the problem that I have is that it does not sit on top, but will actually slide down inside of the little stand that this is supposed to fit down inside of. So now I've either got to, grind out a couple of notches in here and put some tent stakes across it, or I'm going to have to put some type of like expansion metal, or buy the little stand that sits on it crossways so it'll hold your pots up off of it. That aspect I was kind of disappointed, and turns out it's larger than like glacier cups and various other pieces of kit as far as cups are concerned out there. So on one hand, kind of a nifty idea. On the other hand, it's not very practical, because I don't always want to carry a pot that's bigger around than the opening on this. And this is a fairly large cup. I think it's the same size as a Glacier or GSI type cup, or heck, even the cup you can get at Walmart or any sporting goods store. And again, it slides right down inside, so that just doesn't quite work too well for me. But I still like the little stand. I may put a piece of expansion metal over it, and then with the cup, and it's got some little notches in there. I'm not sure if you guys can see this. I'll zoom in and show it to you in a minute. And then it fits right down inside of there so it doesn't slide back and forth. It's a nifty little stand, but it's just a little bit too big for some of the standard size equipment that's out there. So I was wondering what I was going to do with that. I was going to have to put all of that other extra equipment on there. And lo and behold, I remembered I had the Sterno single burner stove. Turns out, fits right down inside there. Fits nicely. Unfortunately, this is just tall enough that if I were to set it in there, well, if I set it in there flat, I'm not getting anything but maybe 1/8 of an inch or so in height. But if I invert it, then it's far too high for this to sit inside there. So what I've done is I'm just going to experiment, and we're going to see if, set down inside, if this will be enough to boil a cup of water. What I'm going to do now, guys, is I'm going to zoom in on this so that you can see it up close and personal, narrate. I have tried this once before, so this is not the first rodeo with this. But there are a couple of tips and tricks. Once I zoom in, I'll show you about that. Just a lesson that I learned as soon as I acquired my new stove. So stay with me. We'll get zoomed in. We'll get started. Okay, guys, here we are. Zoomed in a little bit. One of the things I did when I first discovered that this had been sent to me was I immediately ran out, just stopped by the local store and picked up a bottle of alcohol, because everybody knows these burn alcohol. You can use the different types of heat that you put, the yellow or red bottled heat that you can put into your car. Gas tank in the wintertime, 181 proof grain alcohol, rather 180 proof grain alcohol will work. There's an excellent video out there. I'll put a link down below, but they're the guys that make some folding stoves, and they go through all four of or actually about 5 or 6 different products, and what works best, what boils water the fastest. And ultimately, alcohol tends to work pretty good on it, and it's fairly inexpensive fuel in the cost per ounce, so to speak. But the mistake I made, and I'm hoping you can see that on the label, but if you look in this upper right hand corner here, This is 50% alcohol. And let me tell you, when you put that into your little alcohol stove, does not burn worth a hoot. It never fired up. It didn't get the jets going. I couldn't figure out what was wrong. I thought I'd bought a defective stove. You know, I was contemplating sending it back. And then I watched that video from the other guys and discovered that this one was at 50%. And just so to reinforce that, you can see that do not use this. It will work, don't get me wrong, but you won't have nearly the flame. It'll take a long time, and it will just drive you insane. Plus it pops and cracks a lot because I think most of that's just water, and that doesn't work well. Hopefully on this bottle, you'll be able to see right here that this one is at 91%. Far, far better option as far as getting that ready, or actually just rather to use that. So in here, then what we're going to do is this top just pops right off, so that's nice and easy. You can just open it, close it, you can set it right back on top, and it'll sit down there snugly. This has got a nice cap on it here. This appears to be aluminum or brass. It's got a huge big black O-ring in there. I hope you guys can see that. Really does keep it from leaking in your backpack. I've taken it, shaken it rather, done all kinds of different things with it, and so far it has not leaked. Like anything else, you just pour it down in the center here. I bought a couple of little bottles, and there it is. I just got this at Walmart, cheap little squirt bottle. That way you can put in a couple ounces worth of alcohol in here, sit back, get it back where it needs to be, take your lighter, and I tell you, alcohol flame is hard to see at first. There it's going. I tell you what, before that fully engages, I think I'll go ahead and put it down inside here. I'm going to open up the snuffer top on it, put it down inside. Actually, I think I'll just leave that off for now. As you can start to see, I'm hoping you can see that there's a decent little flame starting to show up in there. I'm going to slide it towards the back of the unit. That way I can put my cup across these 3 bars back here. It takes about a minute or so for this to fully heat up and get the jets into operation. So we're going to let that get set up. In the meantime, what we're going to do, we're going to take our trusty cup from Pathfinder, the Pathfinder school. Love these things. Using it. I scrub the heck out of it, but it's starting to get ahead of me in use. Today, we're going to do a 20-ounce bottle of water. So that would make that roughly 2.5 cups. And since that's down there and burning and such, I think we'll go ahead. I'll set this up, see if it... Oh! And as you just saw, the jets lit. So, now we've got a pretty decent little flame going here. I think what we'll do is start our timer. And then I think we're just going to wait and see how long it takes to boil a cup of water. I won't make you guys suffer through that, so once we're up and running, we'll come back and hopefully we'll be able to see on the timer how long this is taking. So stay with me, guys. We're going to have our signature cup of tea here in a minute. Okay guys, just a quick update. It's been 6 minutes, 46 seconds, and we have bubbles on the bottom. They're starting to come to the top. This is probably going to take 8 to 10 minutes, I would assume, to boil this cup of water. And the reason that is because it's actually 20 ounces, so that's 2.5 cups of water. That's quite a bit of liquid to try to boil up. Another aspect is it's about 2.5, 3 inches from the top of the burner over to the bottom of the cup. Most other little stands, it has it down to about, I don't know, anywhere from about 9/16 of an inch that I've seen on some of them advertised to about an inch or so above. the actual burner itself. So in this case, it's just going to take a little bit longer just due to the way the setup is. But as you can see, that's a pretty healthy flame coming out of that little burner. I'm really impressed with this at that point, or at this point rather. But again, it's going to take a few more minutes to get that 2.5 cups. We've got bubbles coming up off the bottom, so that's a good thing. I may close the flap here a little bit, see if we can cut down on the wind. That's one thing about alcohol stoves. They are extremely susceptible to wind. We don't have much of one this morning. In fact, it's first time in 5 days the sun's even halfway out. Seems like it's rained every day since April. So anyway, we'll keep this thing going. We are currently 8 minutes, 16 seconds. And we're starting to get quite a bit of action in the bottom of the cup here. So stay with me, guys. I'll come back when she's at a rolling boil. Okay, kids, here we are. 15 minutes, 30 seconds. And we've got a pretty decent boil going on right now. This probably would have heated up a lot faster had I put the lid on the cup. One thing I've discovered is the handles on this particular cup, being short and stubby as they are, I'll spin that around so that you can see that, they tend to get very hot. So always keep a pair of gloves in your kit with you, because you're always going to need those. Anyway, that's got a nice little boil going there. So I'm going to call it about 16 minutes for a decent boil. See if I can get the camera into where you guys can see that here a little bit. Excuse the shake on that. But hopefully you can see that rambunctious boil just getting better and stronger all the time. Again, that's 2.5 cups of water, and I have to tell you, there was an epic fail in the middle of this, in the fact that I ran out of alcohol in the stove. So I had to stop, fill it back up. I let the water get to about where it was with the bubbles on the bottom, and then I restarted the timer, so the timer could be off by a few minutes. Or not a few minutes rather, but maybe 1 or 2, insofar as the timing on that is concerned. So anyway, that's plenty hot enough for a cup of tea, and it's boiled, so if I've disinfected water or something along those lines, we should be good to go. Be able to let that cool off and then drink that. I'm going to set that off to the side because it's a mighty hot. Now we'll go through and show the little snuffer. So we can open and close this. It's nice having that option in here. So pretty sweet. I'm just going to clip it down. There's a small piece of metal. I don't know if you guys can see that right along the edge here. And it helps to, when you're, at 180 degrees from the pivot point, it'll just snap it down. Very simple to extinguish your fire. You just simply put that on top. Fire goes out. As soon as the fire goes out, it starts to cool off. It's going to take a few minutes for that to actually cool down. In the meantime, get my tea bag out, get my tea started, get that to seep in like it's supposed to. I'll use my Sea to Summit long-handled spork. Absolutely perfect, especially when you're digging out the bottom of the backpacker meals, the mountain homes, the Weiss meals, all the different things that are out there, the backpacker pantry. Get right down in there, perfect. And I've seen the short ones, I've held on to the short ones. I've had some shorter, regular camping type equipment made by Coleman's, Coolman, Culligan's, all those various companies that are out there. I'm just a fan of the long-handled one. I don't want to get that close to everything else, and I want to try to stay as clean as possible when I'm out there. So we'll let that seep a little bit. This has worked out pretty well. Again, I didn't have a lot of alcohol in here. I failed in the middle of it as it ran out of alcohol. I'd only put maybe an ounce in there. I don't really have a way yet to measure the amount of alcohol, so I'm going to have to do some experimenting with that along the way. I may take this and ultimately I may cut an inch and a half off of that. Let's see if I can slide this little puppy out of there. That is still pretty dang hot. I would suggest again gloves. Always a good thing to have in your kit. But if I cut that down to slightly above that, maybe a 1/4 inch down from the radius of that curve there, that might be a pretty good height then to sit inside here and then have that flame a little bit closer to the bottom of your pot. I'm going to have to think about that for a little bit, see if I can modify it. I'm always going to carry this with me because, as I've shown in other videos, we're able to burn biomass in that. So then with the alcohol stove, with my Vaseline covered cotton balls and such, I can always get a fire started with my ferrocerium rods and various other things that are out there. So in all, I think this is an excellent addition to the kit. I don't know that I would rely on it solely. But if you can get under a tarp or inside your tent or something and you need to make something hot and you need to make it fairly quick, this is an excellent and viable option for that. Again, I'm a little disappointed that this is so wide, and just my standard sized cups will just fit down inside of that and then ultimately sit right on top of your alcohol burner and snuff it out. So a couple of things I think if I were these guys I would adjust this a little bit. Narrow it down. If you look at these tabs, it's almost a 1/2 inch all the way around. They could reduce that significantly, and then you'd have a viable stand for most standard over-the-counter cups like this. Anyway, guys, that's the Alocs. Let's see if you can read that name on there. ALOCS. Alcohol stove. Worked pretty darn good. I'm going to have to use it more often, become a little bit more proficient at it, but with all pieces of kit, that's just what you have to do. You've got to get outside, you've got to test these things, you've got to see what works. I was thinking about buying, the little windscreens that you see, or folding up some tin foil and putting around it, but as I'm always going to carry this with me, I'm not going to add that other stuff to the kit. This seemed to work pretty well. When I closed the front gate on here especially, it really settled the flame down. The flame came up under the bottom of the cup. Really got the action going in boiling the water. So all in all, I'm really kind of impressed with the alcohol stove. The stand leaves a little bit to be desired, but if I modify this, I'll shoot another video and show you the modification, and we'll boil up another cup of tea and see how that works. But until then, guys, get outside, do some camping, test your equipment. Keep your eyes open, keep your heads up, and we'll see you out in the woods. Thanks for watching.